Now, apart from putting the clocks forward, there's another thing to remember to do this weekend: fill in the census form.
Yes, some call it government snooping, while others are only too happy to divulge their details. Well, whatever you think, it has to be done every 10 years by law.
Andy Bevan has been looking at the history of the census and what this one will mean for Midlanders.
Right now, there are about 62 million of us in the UK, and every year there are 500,000 more. Keeping track of all our changing needs and differing requirements isn't easy. So every 10 years, the government undertakes a sort of human stocktake, a census in which everybody counts. 26 million forms have been printed, some in Welsh, some in Braille, all to be completed by the head of the household. This time, though, for the first time, you can do the census online. But do we Midlanders know when is the correct time to actually fill it in?
Is it somewhere in April or May?
It should have been in by now, shouldn't it?
Once a year?
Not really.
I should do though, because it's been advertised quite a lot.
Census Day is actually this Sunday, March the 27th.
Once you receive your census, complete it online or drop it in the post. The 2011 census. Help tomorrow take shape.
The first census was in 1801, and that was a basic list of houses and their inhabitants compiled by door-to-door officials called enumerators. This remarkable film from the Media Archive for Central England shows the town of Glossop in Derbyshire in 1912. These people would have just appeared on the 1911 census, the first one filled out by the public themselves rather than enumerators. Many in the suffragette movement of that time, fighting to get votes for women, refused to take part and defaced their forms. The 1941 census was cancelled because of the Second World War, but in 1951 it was business as usual.
It's 20 years since we had a census, and high time we had some up-to-date facts about ourselves. How many men are there? How many women? How old? What do we do for a living?
The 1951 census had 24 questions. This year there are 56, spread over 32 pages. So what does a 21st century census want to know about us all?
People by age, ethnicity, household.
I think it's all correlated to sort of see how things are changing within the country.
It's too personal. They're asking about their personal lives.
You do have to give your name, age, marital status and describe your general health, but you don't have to declare your income, your sexuality, and stating your religion is voluntary, which in the last census of 2001 led to 390,000 respondents declaring themselves to be of the Jedi faith.
As is your faith in the dark side of the Force.
There's also a mystery question this year, number 17, which it says is intentionally left blank. This puzzle can be solved, though, by popping over the border to Wales, where they, and only they, are being asked if they speak Welsh. So, where does our census information end up?
Does the government use it for stats?
Well, into the archives, I would imagine.
Government department somewhere, I expect.
At the peak in April, I'll have 40,000 staff deployed around the country. We've got 25 contractors working with us. We've got 350 people in the headquarters here. We've got a processing facility up in Manchester that's the size of about 4 or 5 football pitches. This is a massive, massive logistical undertaking.
But there's been criticism of the cost of the census, set to top £480 million, more than double the £210 million spent in 2001. Some think the information could also be obtained from existing sources like GP surgery lists and the electoral roll, which is updated every year. Even so, there's a £1,000 fine for failing to return your census. So who gets to see all this information once it's been collated?
Doctors, schools, housing.
Well, collected in a database or something.
Future service planning, isn't it?
Personal information is kept confidential for 100 years, but overall figures are made available to organisations like the fire service and the police to put fire alarms and crime prevention measures in specific areas. Central and local government and health authorities can plan ahead for housing, education, health and transport services. Even supermarkets use the data to work out the kind of foods they need to sell to keep local communities stocked up with their favourites and where to build new stores.
course, they have to do their own research, they have to look at other sources such as the electoral roll, but an up-to-date census is really important for retailers when they're making those investment decisions.
Tomorrow night, we'll examine how the Midlands has changed over the past 100 years or so and how that's been reflected in the census. And we'll look at a campaign that aims to get everyone dancing to the same tune.
You know what's worrying? That us, Joe Public, our lack of knowledge about the census.
It's surprising, isn't it?
A bit concerning,
And as for Jedi, I do know someone that did that. I won't name them. They'd probably rather I didn't, but
they're on the dark side, obviously. Now let's get the sport, shall we?